So we're in Yaakov, we're in Berachot. We're going to read the section now, the meaning of pain and suffering. So it says, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, if you study Torah, painful sufferings will leave you, as it says. And the sons of Resheph, so sparks of fire, Oof, fly up, Job 5:7. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish explains the word Oof refers to the Torah, for it says, if you close your eyes, Hata'if, related to Oof, it is gone, Proverbs 23:5. And Resheph refers to demons, for it says, and they will be consumed by Resheph, fiery demonic fever, cut down by bitter plague. Deuteronomy 32:24. Thus, it is the Oof, the Torah, that chases away the Resheph, the demons. Rabbi Yochanan exclaimed, what you, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, just said, even school children know that, for they know that the Torah protects you from affliction. They have learned in the Torah, if you obey God and you will do what is just in his eyes, then I will not strike you with any of the sicknesses that I brought upon Egypt, for I am God your healer. Exodus 15:26. You don't have to cite a verse from Job to tell us that. Instead, you should say, if a person has the opportunity to study Torah and does not study it, then the Holy One, blessed be he, will bring on him ugly and painful sufferings that will stir him up. For it says, I was dumb, silent, I kept quiet from the good thing, and my pain was stirred up. Psalms 39:3. I kept quiet from a good thing can refer only to the Torah, about which it says, for I have given you a good teaching. Do not forsake my Torah. Proverbs 4:2. In other words, I did not study Torah, therefore I was stricken with pain. Rabbi Zera and others say, Rabbi Hanina ben Papa says, let me show you that the ways of the Holy One, blessed be he, are not like the ways of flesh and blood people. The way of people is, if a person sells an object to someone, if he is forced to sell it out of poverty, the seller is sad and the buyer is happy. But the Holy One, blessed be he, is different. He gave the Torah to Israel, and he rejoices, for it says, for I have given you a good teaching, do not forsake my Torah. The wording of this verse conveys God's great joy. The Torah is a beautiful thing. God tells us, make sure you appreciate it and use it properly. Rava and others said, Rav Chisda says, if a person feels pain coming on, he should examine his way of life. For it says, let us search and examine our ways and turn back to God. Lamentations 3:40. If he searched and found nothing that he did wrong, he should attribute his pain to the neglect of Torah study. As it says, happy is the man whom you chastise, O God, the man whom you teach your Torah. Psalms 94:12. Meaning, happy is the man who understands that the purpose of his pain is to induce him to learn more Torah. If he did attribute his suffering to neglect of Torah, but did not find this to be the cause, he should know that his sufferings are afflictions of love. For it says, for whom God loves, he chastises. Proverbs 3:12. God afflicts him in this world, even though he has not sinned, in order to give him a greater reward in the world to come, according to Rashi. Rava, in the name of Rabbi Sechora, in the name of Rabbi Huna, says, if the Holy One, blessed be he, is pleased with someone, he crushes him with pain. For it says, God was pleased with him, therefore he crushed him with disease. Isaiah 53:10. Now, if you think, now you might think that this is so, even if he does not accept the afflictions with love. Therefore, the verse continues, when he offers his soul as a trespass offering. The Gemara expounds, just as a trespass offering has to be brought willingly, so are the sufferings in this verse willingly accepted. And if he does accept them, what is his reward? The verse continues, he will see children and have a long life. And that's not all. His learning will remain firm with him. He will not forget it. For the verse concludes, the one that God desires will be successful in his learning. The Gemara now defines Yisurim Shel Ahava, afflictions of love. There is a dispute between Rabbi Yaakov ben Idi and Rabbi Acha ben Hanina about the nature of afflictions of love. One of them says, afflictions of love are the kind of pain that does not prevent a person from learning Torah. For it says, happy is the man whom you chastise, O God, the man whom you teach your Torah. Psalms 94:12. The other one says, afflictions of love are the kind of pain that does not disrupt a person's prayers, as it says, blessed is God who has not turned away my prayer, or his faithful care from me. Psalms 66:20. Rabbi Abba, the son of Rabbi Chia ben Abba, said to them, so said Rabbi Chia ben Abba, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, you are both right. Both are considered afflictions of love. They interfere neither with Torah study nor with prayer, for it says, for whom God loves, he chastises, Proverbs 3:12. Why then does it say the man whom you teach your Torah, which was the basis for the opinion that the criterion for afflictions of love is that they don't interfere with Torah study? The Gemara answers, don't read Talam Denu, you teach him, but Talam Denu, you teach us. In other words, the concept that afflictions are beneficial, quote, you have taught us in your Torah. The Gemara asks, where in the Torah do we find that afflictions are beneficial? We derive it from a kal v'chomer, a logical inference, from the law regarding tooth and eye. If a master knocks out a tooth or an eye of his Canaanite slave, then the slave has to be set free. Exodus 21, verses 26 and 27. The reasoning goes, tooth and eye are only one lib, and yet if they are mutilated, tooth and eye are only one lib, and yet if they are mutilated, the slave goes free. Painful sufferings torment a person's entire body. Imagine how much freedom is eventually obtained through them. So this is in line with what Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish taught us. For Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said the word brit, covenant, is mentioned in regard to salt, and brit is also mentioned in regard to suffering. The word brit is mentioned in regard to salt, for it says, do not leave out the salt of your God's brit, your God's covenant, from your meal offerings. Leviticus 2, verse 13. And the word brit is mentioned in connection with suffering, as it says at the end of the Tochacha, the chapter on terrifying curses. These are the words of the brit, the covenant. Deuteronomy 28:69. Just as in the covenant that was mentioned in connection with the salt lends a taste to the meat. And also in the covenant mentioned in connection with suffering, the sufferings wash away a person's sins. More on the subject of suffering. It says, it has been taught in a Braita, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, the Holy One, blessed be He, gave Israel 3 precious gifts, and all of them are obtained only through suffering. They are the Torah, Eretz Yisrael, and the world to come. From where do we know that the Torah is acquired only through suffering? Because it says, happy is the man whom you chastise, the man whom you teach your Torah. Psalms 94, verse 12. From where do we know that Eretz Yisrael is acquired through suffering? Because it says, just as a man chastises his son, so does God, your Lord, chastise you. Deuteronomy 8:5. And right after that, it says, God, your Lord, is bringing you to a good land. Deuteronomy 8, verse 7. So from where do we know that the world to come is acquired through suffering? Because it says, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light, and the way to life is the rebuke that chastises. Proverbs 6:23. The way to life, meaning the world to come, is reached only through reproof and suffering. So Atana recited before Rabbi Yochanan. So Atana is a rabbi from the Mishnah. So if a person engages in the study of Torah and in charitable acts and has to endure the dreadful anguish of having to bury his children, all his sins are forgiven. Rabbi Yochanan said to the Tana, I grant you that a person merits forgiveness of his sins because of his Torah study and acts of charity, for it says, through kindness and truth, sin will be forgiven. Proverbs 16, verse 6. Kindness refers to acts of charity, for it says, and he who strives to do charitable and kind deeds attains life, success, and honor. Proverbs 21:21. Truth refers to Torah, for it says, buy truth and never sell it. Proverbs 23, verse 23. But how do we know that a person who suffers the anguish of burying his children merits forgiveness of all his sins? The Gemara answers, there was this old man who taught him the answer in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It is derived from a gezerah shava, the scriptural analogy of the word avon, sin, or iniquity. It says in the above-mentioned verse, through kindness and truth, avon, or sin, will be forgiven. And elsewhere it says, you atone the avon, the sin of the fathers, because of their children after them. Jeremiah 32, verse 18. Meaning, the sin of the father is erased through the anguish he experiences on account of his children's death. Rabbi Yochanan says, leprosy and trouble with children are not considered afflictions of love. The Gemara asks, can it be that leprosy is not an affliction of love? Haven't we learned in a Braita that if a person has one of these 4 categories of leprosy, it is nothing but an altar of atonement? The Gemara answers, Rabbi Yochanan does not dispute that. They are indeed an altar of atonement, but they are not afflictions of love. And if you wish, I can say the Braita refers to us in Babylon, whereas Rabbi Yochanan's statement refers to them in Eretz Yisrael. So if you like, I can say this. The Braita that considers it sufferings of love refers to leprosy that is in hidden places on the body where no one can see it, whereas Rabbi Yochanan refers to visible leprosy, which makes him repulsive to others and therefore cannot be considered sufferings of love. The Gemara asks, And is trouble with children not considered afflictions of love? Under what circumstances? Shall I say that he had children and they died? You cannot possibly say that his pain is not considered afflictions of love. For did not Rabbi Yochanan himself say, "This is the bone of my 10th son that I lost"? If he consoled himself and others with it, surely the death of his children must have been sufferings of love. So how could Rabbi Yochanan say that losing children is not sufferings of love? The Gemara answers, when Rabbi Yochanan says that having trouble with children is not sufferings of love, he means the trouble and pain of a person who never had children. But if he had children and they died, he considers it sufferings of love. Rabbi Yochanan once was sick, so Rabbi Hanina went to visit him. Rabbi Hanina asked him, "Do you welcome this pain?" He replied, "I want neither the pain nor the reward for that pain." Rabbi Hanina then said, "Give me your hand." So Rabbi Yochanan extended his hand to Rabbi Hanina, and thereby Rabbi Hanina made Rabbi Yochanan stand up and cured him. The Gemara wonders, why did not Rabbi Yochanan cure himself? The Gemara answers, I will tell you, a prisoner cannot free himself from jail, and a sick person cannot cure himself. Rabbi Elazar once was sick. When Rabbi Yochanan came to visit him, he noticed that Rabbi Elazar was sleeping in a dark room. Rabbi Yochanan then uncovered his arm, light radiated from it, and lit up the room. Rabbi Yochanan then noticed that Rabbi Elazar was weeping. He asked him, "Why are you crying?" "It is because you did not study enough Torah. After all, we learned it. It makes no difference whether you offer much or little, as long as your intention is sincerely directed toward heaven." "Are you crying because you are needy? Not everyone merits 2 tables, both Torah and wealth. Is it perhaps because you have no children?" "This is the bone of my 10th child." He meant to console him. "I lost 10 children, but I am not despondent." "You are not the only one with such troubles." Rabbi Elazar answered, "I cry because of this beauty," meaning Rabbi Yochanan's beauty, "that will decay in the earth." Rabbi Yochanan replied, "That definitely is a good reason to cry," and together they cried. Meanwhile, Rabbi Yochanan asked him, "Do you welcome your pain?" And Rabbi Elazar replied, "I want neither the pain nor the reward for the pain." Rabbi Yochanan said, "Give me your hand." Rabbi Elazar extended his hand, and Rabbi Yochanan made him stand up and cured him. Once 400 jars of wine belonging to Rabbi Huna turned sour. Rabbi Yehuda, the brother of Rabbi Salah, the pious, and the other scholars came to visit him and told him, "Perhaps you should examine your actions to find out why this calamity happened to you." Rabbi Huna exclaimed, "What, do you suspect me of wrongdoing?" They retorted, "Do you suspect the Holy One, blessed be he, of punishing someone unfairly?" Rabbi Huna said, "If anyone has heard any rumor against me, let him speak." They told him, "We heard that you do not give your tenant his share of the vine twigs. Rabbi Huna replied, "Sure, I did not give him some of the twigs, but does he leave me any? He steals everything." They said to him, "This is what people mean when they say, when you steal from a thief, you also get a taste of it. Even if your tenant steals from you, you may not withhold from him his lawful share." Rabbi Huna then said, "I promise to give it to him in the future." Some say that after he made this pledge, miraculously the vinegar turned to wine again. Others say the price of vinegar went up so that it was sold for the same price as wine.